Assalamu alaikum everyone. So today we'll be talking about the Kalam Cosmological Argument. This is one of my favorite arguments and I'm going to try to keep it as concise as possible. We're going to be discussing its history and the current formation, which is the formation of William Lane Craig. So let's get into it. Let's get into it with some history. So this argument was formed by Imam al-Ghazali. He was a Persian philosopher, okay, and he is considered as a mujaddid by many. A mujaddid is basically a belief in Islam that every century a person comes to revive Islam, and by many, Imam al-Ghazali is considered to be that person. His birthplace was Iran in the year 1058, and he passed away in 18 or 19 December 1111. That's an easy date to remember. There's a difference on opinion on the date he died exactly. His complete name was Abu Hamid Muhammad ibn Muhammad al-Ghazali. He was an extremely intelligent and an educated person of the golden age. He had learned many aspects such as philosophy, math, sciences, Islamic scriptures. One of his great works is The Incoherence of Philosophers, or Tahaffut al-Falsafa, where he criticizes other philosophers such as Ibn Rushd, Ibn Sina, even Aristotle and Plato in their methodology and their workings. So Imam al-Ghazali was well versed in the works of John Philippius, where he had worked about infinity, and he used these ideas in his argument and came up with the first premise, which was every occurrence has a cause. And then he further explained what an occurrence is. He explained it in a way that which was once not existent and became existent. Okay, then he furthermore said that our universe is an occurrence. Okay, and then he came up with the third conclusion that the universe has a cause, and then he said that this cause needs to have some basic attributes, and this is hence God. But in this video I'm going to be using the modern formulation of the argument from the paper, I believe, The Existence of God and the Beginning of the Universe, which is by William Lane Craig. As you can see, I'll just give a short introduction to William Lane Craig. He is a philosopher and a Christian apologetics. I don't know what you call them exactly. He has put a formulation in a very easy and digestible way, and I'll agree it's a good formulation of the argument. Okay, first of all, before we get started, we need to make this clear. The Kalam Cosmological Argument is a deductive argument. Okay, basically, which in philosophy, a deductive argument is seen as a proof or a logical proof, because if the premises are true, then the conclusion follows, and if the premises are true and the argument is valid, then the conclusion is valid. And if the conclusion is that there is a God, it means that there is a God. So let's just keep that in mind when we move ahead with this video. You can pause and read one of the deductive arguments. Okay, so the Kalam Cosmological Argument basically goes as everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, and the universe is basically all space, time, and its content. And the third premise is, therefore, the universe has a cause. So what do we really mean by the first premise, that everything that begins to exist has a cause? Let's look into that. By begin to exist, we mean something that prior to it or once did not exist and at one point did exist, and we are considering that to be a universe. And we can think about it in such a way that we as human beings or our consciousness once began to exist at our birth, and it did not once exist. As we begin to exist, we must have a cause, which was our parents' meeting or our birth. You can think of it in that way. Anyone who wants to refute the first premise has to go into absurdities, such as there can be an effect without a cause, which is very much like saying something can come from nothing. It is not exactly like it, but it is similar to it if someone says that a cause. The reason that I'm saying it is similar is because if you think about it, saying that an effect came without a cause is like saying that an effect came without no reason. The effect came into existence by itself. And This is very much like ex nihilo, and ex nihilo is basically something coming from absolutely nothing. You have to think about it because even the most naturalist atheists, such as David Hume, say that, and I quote, "I never assert to absurd proposition as that anything might arise without a cause." And you have to think about it because why is it absurd to take to such a position? Because it goes against all intuition, everything that we see, all observable data, all of our laws. It is simply just an absurd position. There is no reason to take such a position, and someone who takes it is just to decline God. So let's move forward with this to the second premise. The second premise can be further broken down into sub-arguments, as you can see. And the second premise has to deal with the fact that an actual infinite temporal regress of events cannot exist. For example, think about it in such a way. You ask a woman for her hand. The woman says that she's going to ask her father, and the father says he's going to ask someone else, and then that person says he's going to ask someone else. Till infinite. Will you ever marry the woman? Of course you won't. It's a similar concept in the idea that we live in a temporal time, and time works in a temporal regress. In addition, the 10th minute cannot happen without the 9th, and the 9th cannot happen without the 8th, so there has to be a first minute. And then therefore the third premise is that the universe has a cause, and this cause has to be God. Now atheists come and say, no, it doesn't need to be God, it can be some arbitrary object. Well, they're wrong. What do you expect? They're atheists. And then they just go ahead and say that it is a non sequitur. It doesn't follow that it is a God. It doesn't follow that it is a being that wills or has choice. Well, this is the important part because the argument does. Why is that the case? It is because of a very simple reason. So the uncaused cause, or the first cause, has to be unaffected by an infinite regress. It is due to simple necessity, the infinite regress of such as time or events. So it has to be uncaused cause. By the nature and the necessity of the argument, the uncaused cause cannot be in an infinite regress and has to be timeless, because if it wasn't timeless it would be subject to time and it would be limited, dependent, and therefore caused. And from here we can move on as to why the uncaused cause has to be a personal entity or entity with choice or will. It's a very simple reason, because the effect, which is the universe, is finite and the cause is eternal. If the cause had the exact same property for eternity, then the universe itself would be eternal. You can think about it in such a way that if the universe is the effect, which is water boiling, and the cause was the temperature being 100 degrees Celsius, if the temperature was always 100 degrees Celsius, then the water would always be boiling, but that is not the case. The universe is finite, hence the temperature was not always boiling. So you see, the Kalam argument shows that the uncaused cause had to change something, or had to change itself, to change the property that caused the universe to come into existence as a finite. Hence, the uncaused cause changed itself or changed something, which shows free will. Something that changes itself or changes something else is free will, because the uncaused cause always existed. So it had to change the property by itself. Free will. Simple as that. And the Kalam cosmological is valid. God is proven. So the only way that someone can refute or invalidate this argument is by proving or showing that an infinite regress or an ex nihilo is possible. And I've already shown that an infinite regress is an impossibility, and I've given a reason to suggest that. And even if someone sides with ex nihilo and says that something can come from absolutely nothing, which is basically saying that 0 plus 0 can equal 1, it won't really raise a problem for the Kalam cosmological argument. Well, you see, the reason that is the case is because nothing has the only property, which is the absence of everything. If our universe came from nothing, nothing always existed. If the property to create the universe always existed, the universe should have always existed. Well, that is not the case. X, let's say X is the universe. If X always existed, universe always existed. As the universe began to exist, property X began to exist. And if the property X began to exist, the uncaused cause would have to change itself or change something, showing free will. Hence, proven God, and we have shown that God exists. Thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you all in the next video. Ma salama.
قل هاتوا برهانكم إن كنتم صادقين